Many of you will be familiar with the headlines by now. Singles Day is the biggest online shopping festival in the world that each year in just 24 hours generates astounding figures in goods bought and goods sold. It's the brainwave of Taobao, the Chinese e-commerce platform under the Alibaba group. Created 10 years ago, Singles Day began in recognition of single people, and that's why it's also known as Double 11, because it takes place on the 11th day of the 11th month, but also because the number 1 resembles an individual. On the big day, Taobao hosts a huge event in China with personalities like Mariah Carey, Cirque du Soleil, and David Beckham. It's not just for singles, it's open to everybody, and neither is it just Taobao. Plenty of brands and businesses try to imitate its online success in China and globally, from airlines to credit cards and offline as well in restaurants and hotels. Nor is it limited to Chinese speakers. Baopals is just one American company that's selling to the English language market by translating product information on Taobao. And in the media, another story is of a Rwandan student turned entrepreneur who came up with the idea of selling Chinese goods back home. Singles Day allows him to accelerate sales through promotions and discounts, and in the process, he now has 10,000 active customers in Rwanda, Uganda, and the DRC. Taobao was born in Hangzhou, a beautiful lake-filled city with gardens, temples, pagodas, and pavilions. The Italian writer and explorer Marco Polo, who traveled through China in the late 13th century, immortalized Hangzhou for being, without a doubt, he said, the finest and most splendid city in the world. I always found it curious, but not a contradiction, that this historic city should be known today as a global innovation center. There are plenty of startups here that aspire to Taobao's success, but Taobao is much more than an e-commerce platform, and Singles Day is much more than just a spending spree, because both have enabled millions of people in China to live a better life, and in many cases, it's allowed them to escape what would have been a life trapped in poverty. I've seen this for myself. Living in China, I heard many stories about ordinary people who were able to transform their opportunities because they could sell their goods with as little as a mobile phone, a data plan, and a Taobao account. And it goes deeper than that. Millions of migrant workers who've had to leave their parents and children behind in the towns and villages they come from have been able to reunite their families because of the second chance that e-commerce provides them. They don't need to endure life building offices or bridges. They can stay at home, take care of each other, and generate a sufficient income all at the same time. But it's also a point about respect and dignity. Cultures and traditions that have faded during decades of quick economic growth in China have suddenly returned and found a new appreciation and a new purpose in a new century. Ethnic costumes, accessories, and other handicrafts have found their way online. Simply a way to share them has in turn created a demand and supply. And it goes beyond the individual. Whole villages, 600 of them, have experienced the Taobao effect. Often poor and hard to reach, these so-called Taobao villages are part of a wider commitment in the rural areas to train farmers so that they have the skills to sell their agricultural produce online. They can also apply for over $14 billion in loans from Taobao affiliate Ant Financial. This is one of many such programs, not to generate sales, but to help wipe out poverty, a countrywide goal for 2020. And there's plenty of evidence that engaging e-commerce as a tool towards that is working. Sales of goods in nationally recognized poverty-stricken areas have jumped 80% in year-on-year growth just through Taobao and other Alibaba platforms and opportunities like Singles Day. It's an emotional human process, and one that gently shows that technology need not always threaten our jobs and our futures, but if applied in meaningful ways, can actually build new lives. This is James Chau for the China Current. Thanks for watching. I'm James Chau. We've got lots more videos, so like, follow, and subscribe at the China Current.